And welcome, everybody. This is Games Over Plastic, episode number 2. As you can see, if you're watching the video version at youtube.com/midnightdt, we are now on camera. That's right. We're finally bringing cameras to everybody. We're excited to do that. Games Over Plastic, episode 2, the podcast, which is for the agnostic gamer. Just video games, just fun, no console war, no fanboy stuff over here. As I said, I'm Midnight, and as always, I am joined by my two amazing co-hosts. First of all, we have the man, the myth, the legend, the master platinum trophy hunter, Sean Mason. How you doing, Sean?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I had a little technical difficulties with the camera and the headphones, but we got it all covered, all ready to go. I'm really excited to, be back for episode 2. People seem to like episode 1 from the comments, so yeah, I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me again. Well, I'm always going to be here, but thanks for inviting me.
You better always be here. You're not allowed to leave. Not allowed to leave. And last but absolutely not least, we have the man who does it all, the jack of all trades, as he described himself, the graphics guru. You see these thumbnails, you see these backgrounds, this amazing artwork, which makes our show look way more professional than it really is all thanks to this man, Hodge. What's up, man? How you doing?
The real quote is "Jack of all trades, master of none," because I'm not great at anything.
I was trying to be nice. I didn't want to throw in the second part.
I just know how to do things, just not how to do things well. But happy to be here. I've been actually excited. I was like, can we just move to weekly already? But I know that's not what we're doing yet. But maybe one day we'll get some every other week episodes as well. But yeah, I was looking forward to getting back to doing this again because everyone was super nice about the first episode, said kind things, and yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it so far, so let's keep this ball rolling.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the feedback was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I got feedback from friends and coworkers. They listened to the podcast, and they were like, it's really good.
Yeah.
You guys get some good feedback too, I assume?
Yeah, I didn't show it to coworkers because I'm the kind of person who separates his life completely from work. I don't hang out with coworkers or anything. I've had coworkers like call me a mystery. I'm like, I'm a pretty open book to the people I know, but at work I'm just like, I gotta show up, do my work, and go home. So I'm a completely different person there. But I didn't show them, but I showed it to some friends. My parents used to listen to my old podcast. I didn't even bother with this when they don't play video games, so I was like, yeah, you don't need to listen. You won't care. But yeah, from our friends, I've heard a lot of kind words.
Yeah, I got some positive reactions from people. The only negative reaction I got was from my dad. He told me, you know what, you're terrible at this, so you can just leave. He told me I can never come back to his house again. I was like, Dad, that's a little excessive, but all right.
Yeah, that's not nice.
It's a little harsh.
Yeah.
A little harsh. Sean, I don't know if you want to get into what you do for a living, but are you going to share with your coworkers?
I already shared with one of my coworkers my one coworker who plays video games, my friend Scott. He's actually really into Suicide Squad right now, which is hilarious. He had been waiting for this. We had been talking about this game since we both got hired. We got hired in the same year. It's like right after we both graduated college. And like, that was 6 years ago. He had been talking about Suicide Squad game. So he was like really hyped for it. But he listened last week, 2 weeks ago, and he really liked it. And he was like asking me, he's like, oh, he asked me last Monday, he's like, where's the new episode? I'm like, oh, it's going to be every other week. He's like, oh, but he did like it. He enjoyed it.
I did see a few of those messages of just, I think what Zach posted, like, oh, when I'm on waiting for Monday for Games Over Graphic, but it's every other week.
Yeah. I mean, do you guys want it to be every week? The thing about it for me, if we just had to come in here and record, I'd be cool with doing every week. But there's a lot of behind the scenes work that the audience doesn't see. Like I spent like 5-6 hours editing and rendering and uploading the podcast. So I don't know if I want to do that every weekend.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you guys think?
That could be one of those things we decide later down the road.
Yeah. We've discussed
for now
some special episodes that we could do in the future, but we'll just leave that as a tease for everyone right now.
Yeah, a little tease.
Yeah,
we probably will have some special one-off episodes that'll come in our off weeks, so look forward to that. Anyway, so Games Over Plastic, the podcast, as we just mentioned, will go up every other week on Mondays, available on my YouTube channel, Midnight Midnight DT is the YouTube channel. If you just search for Games Over Plastic, you'll find it. It is also available on Spotify. And thanks to Hodge, we are now also on Apple Podcast and soon to be available on, what was it?
Pocket
Hodge?
Casts, and I think we're also on Overcast, is I believe what it's called. But yeah, pretty much. I think once it gets on Apple, it automatically goes to most other podcast apps because they most places use Apple as their like RSS, I don't know, library or whatever. So if it's with it being on Apple, it should be on everything else. But if not, let us know and I can look into it.
Heck yeah. So we are invading your ears from all available services. So look forward to that. Thank you so much, everybody who tuned in and gave us feedback for episode 1. And if you're back again hearing our voices now, we really appreciate you. Leave a like on the video, rate us 5 stars on podcast apps. That'll really help us out. Maybe we'll find some new people who don't already know us, which would be great. Let's see what else. If you have topics or questions for us that you want us to get to on YouTube, leave a comment in the comment section with your questions, topic ideas, and things like that. And if we like it, we may bring it up and mention it on an episode. So you may hear your name on an episode. Who knows? All right. Anything else that we should cover here before we jump into the fun stuff? You guys got anything that we want to bring up?
No. I'll talk about this later, but I watched Starship Troopers again recently for a very obvious reason that we'll get to later. But
yeah, I wonder what that reason is.
Yeah, just playing a lot of
any
Final
thoughts?
Fantasy, so no.
Any thoughts or what did you think of Starship Troopers?
I mean, I watched it back in high school. I loved it. It's such a hokey, over the top, like your patriotism kind of movie. So I've always loved that movie. So watching it again in context with why people are watching it nowadays, it's a great movie. Everyone should watch it.
Yes, sir. I haven't seen it in ages. I might watch it sometime.
And a young Denise Richards, yes. That's all I have to say.
Speaking of television, I just finished season 1 and 2 of Invasion, which is a show on Apple TV. I signed up for it's like aliens are invading Earth, and it's really cool. I signed up for Apple TV recently, a 3-month trial. I think you can still get it. It's on Best Buy. If you just go on Best Buy app or website and just search for Apple TV 3-month, it's free. It's $0. You add it to your cart and you check out. And then you just get like a link or a code or whatever, and you get 3 months free of Apple TV. It's not just for new people either. It works for returning people as long as you've been inactive for like a little while. But they have a lot of really good shows. I got like 6 shows that I want to watch, like really cool premises. Like there's one that's called, I think, For All Mankind, where it's like the space race never ended and the Russians actually made it to the moon first. And like the premise and everything just sounds really cool. So I'm going to be getting to all those shows. Sean, are you a big TV movie guy?
I like movies. I'm not huge into. I'm more into like I really like to read. Like I'm big into reading. But I do watch a lot of anime. If I have to say, I do watch a lot of anime, and I do watch a lot of sports. Basically, that's my TV consumption is sports and anime. So I actually was on vacation this week off from work. We had a little 1-week break from school up here in Massachusetts. So none of my other friends are teachers around here. So I was basically by myself all week, just hanging out. I watched a lot of anime. I also started on Apple TV. I started 2 series. I started Dynasty, that Patriots series about the Patriots' basically 20-year dominance of the NFL. I know some people don't like it. Listen, Brady's the GOAT, so I'm going to say, well, that could be that. We can debate that on another podcast.
I didn't agree.
And I also started.
I didn't agree with it until he got that 6th ring, and then I was like, all right, maybe he is.
And now he has 7. I started Masters of the Air, the war drama.
I want to see that too. That looks good.
It is phenomenal. If you're at all interested in history, like definitely check it out. And I'm not the biggest history guy, but it was really, I've really enjoyed it. I've watched the first 4 episodes, and it's been really good. But other than that, I've been watching a lot of anime, and reading a lot of books. That's basically it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, I was surprised really this isn't an Apple TV podcast, everybody. This is a gaming podcast, but I'm really a big Apple TV fan. Like, and it's funny because I've always been kind of an Apple hater. I'm team Android. I have an Android phone. I always thought Apple was kind of overpriced. I thought Apple TV was a meme But let me tell you, they might have one of the best streaming services out there. The amount of shows that they have with just amazing premises, and I've watched like 3 or 4 of the shows, and they've all been really good. They got some great content. So I highly recommend go on Best Buy or whatever, get you that 3-month trial, get your binge on. They got some good stuff.
I just want to
All
say thank you to my sister for giving me her Apple TV password. That's all I got to say.
There you go. Shout out.
At least some places still
All
let
right.
you password share.
Yeah, they've not said anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. All right, boys, we've been going for 10 and a half minutes now. Let's go ahead and jump into the game, shall we? So we're going to go ahead and start this episode off with what we've been playing. We wanted to get to this last week, but last week's episode was a bit long with everything that was going on. So we punted it to this week. So we're going to go ahead and get into what we're playing right now and what we've just recently beat and just talk about some games. After that, we're going to get into Xbox news. We're going to talk about the Nintendo Direct. It's going to be a fun show, so make sure you stick around. There will be timestamps available. Look forward to that. There should be timestamps on the YouTube, on the Spotify, everywhere. So let's start with what we're playing. And why don't we go ahead and kick this off with Hodge? You want to tell us about what you've been playing?
All right. So I've normally my what we've been playing or are we playing segment. I won't have this many games, but I wanted to talk about all these games for like the last 3 or 4 weeks that we've been playing the podcast. We wanted to talk about. So first, quickly, I could go through. I beat probably a week and a half ago. I beat Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. It was a very, 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 very good game. My only complaint, even though I don't have this, this is going to be completely hypocritical, but because normally I don't ever talk bad about games at age, but you could feel the PSP bits of this game, where it's like every single time an enemy pops up, it's like, fight begin or whatever, and then you kill him, it's like fight end. It's just that little pause is just enough to drive me crazy at this point because I'm so used to games being so quick. But the plot itself, I loved the story, obviously, of Zack, and it was a great game. It's just that little one thing of the PSP, just like where it has to like start every battle with like the begin and end. I'm like, I know I see them. I don't need you to tell me this fight is starting. That's like my only little complaint, but I loved it. Other than that,
Okay.
yeah,
I have a question.
Yeah.
So before you get into your next game, so Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, right? Now you guys are jumping on me for not playing the original Final Fantasy VII, and I'm going to play it. You've convinced me. I'm going to play it.
Yes.
Where does this fit in, and what order do I need to play these games in?
You play Crisis Core after you play OG.
Yeah.
So I play the OG, then I play Crisis Core.
Yes.
Yes.
And then
the remake is just its own thing. It's like a separate sequel type thing. Don't even worry about it.
Well,
But do play it.
I would say you should play the OG and Crisis Core first, and then play the remake.
Yes.
But I mean, I think you could probably get away with playing remake and Rebirth without playing them, but you get so much more out of it if you played the original in Crisis Core.
Every person who has beaten Remake, which is another list or game on my list that I'll talk about, every person who's beaten it says, I see why you're supposed to play the first one first, or the original first. So
especially after you go back.
Yeah, so I'll just say that about it. But yeah, Crisis Core would be after OG Final Fantasy VII, before Remake.
Okay. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone has anything else to say about that game. I know you guys have Sean's beaten it. If you have anything to say about Crisis
I love
Core,
this game. I love Crisis Core. I definitely hear you on. It definitely feels like a PSP game. So much to the point that when I was originally, when they released it on PS5, like 2020, like December 2022, and I started playing it, I was like, wow. And I ended up actually picking up my PSP and playing it on my PSP. I'm like, this feels so much better as a handheld. Although, like I said, the story, like you said, the story is amazing. And Zack, I love Zack.
Yeah. The one thing I gotta say though is in Final Fantasy VII and just all the lore around the whole Final Fantasy VII world, they make it seem like Zack and Cloud were just like these best friends that were inseparable. And in the game, they just kind of know each other. And so I'm just like, so I don't really buy like he was like my friend and he gifted me the Buster Sword and all this. Like, I'm like, I mean, I felt more between Angeal and Zack than Zack and Cloud. Like,
yeah, it's like a lot of off-screen relationship building there.
Yeah. That was another little thing. I was just like, oh, I expected them to be like buddy in this, and it's just kind of like Cloud shows up and he's kind of there. I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah. The other games, I have a couple games that I don't have to talk too much about, but I dropped actually Sea of Stars. I played it for, man, close to 20 hours, and there's just one point in the game. I don't want to spoil it, but there's one point where I'll just say it changes the vibe of the game, and it took me out of it. I couldn't do it anymore. I understand that there's a lot of people who like it, but when that moment hit, I was just like, oh, that's not what I was getting out of this game. And all of a sudden it hit, and I was just like, I just can't. I don't know. It took me completely out of it. I know up until that, I loved this game. Like, I've never been a huge turn-based RPG kind of player, but I loved how this one went. Like, having the reaction time of when you throw the moonerang and you have to bounce it back and forth, and charge up the sun ball from what's his face. Speaking of which, the two main characters to me were just kind of blue hair and yellow hair. They had no personality. Also, it was all the characters around them that you're like, oh, I love these people. But the two people you played as, it was, I understand that in RPGs, it's like you put yourself in that shoe and you kind of view the world through their eyes. But they just didn't really have much of a personality. So I didn't care for them. But everything else in the game, the music, the pixel art, the gameplay, I loved it all. But yeah, once it hit that moment in the game, I was just like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. But I don't know how you guys feel about Sea of Stars.
Looks cool. Haven't played it. Maybe one day I will.
Yeah,
but it's not on like the immediate to-do list.
Yeah.
I played it. I had really high expectations going in, and I'm not saying it's a bad game. It was a good game, but it didn't live up to the expectations I was expecting. I, like you, Hodge, I didn't find the two protagonists that like intriguing. Zale and Valerie are their names.
Oh yeah. I'm just terrible with names in general, so
don't worry about it.
Personal with this game.
I think the NPC characters, like the people you meet, are so much more interesting. But I found the story to be didn't really catch me, didn't really capture me at all. I was hoping for like I kept like going like I can see where this is going. I can see why so many people like this, but I found it very much like a vanilla JRPG.
Yeah.
It's not even it's a JRPG inspired game. It's very vanilla though. So like I said, I came in, I was like, oh my gosh, this could be like right up there for like a top 5 or a game of the year contender for me last year. When everything I saw in the videos and everything, I bought it day one. I got the physical edition. I'm like ready to go. And then I played through it and I was like, oh, definitely was below my expectations. Didn't even make my top 10 last year.
Yeah. Another one, actually, I don't even really need to talk that much about this one because I haven't played it since Helldivers came out, but I play Fortnite a lot with my friends. I just kind of threw that in there because that's something I always hop in, we drop in boys kind of situation. But I haven't played it actually much since Helldivers came out week and a half, 2.5 weeks ago, however long it's been. But
democracy.
Yeah, I've played, I think I have like, I can't even remember how, like 90 days in Fortnite already since it came out in 2018 or whatever. Yeah, so I've played a lot of that game, but yeah, I haven't played much since Helldivers. Also, last week between the two episodes, I just spent one day and I beat Tinykin again. I love this game. I played on Game Pass when I was super excited for it to come out. So when it got announced for Game Pass, I was hyped. So I played it on Game Pass and I saw it was on sale on PlayStation. So I was like, I got the 100 or the 1,000 gamer score, the Xbox Platinum, basically, for it. And then so I got the Platinum also on PlayStation. So I've beaten it all the way through twice. If anyone likes the Pikmin kind of type gameplay, it's only a 6-hour game, and that's with the Platinum if you're really looking for everything. So it's a really short game, very cute. The little tinykin creatures are adorable. You just play as this little guy who's kind of like in a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids situation. He's a little guy running through a house, and each level is just a different room in the house. There's a bathroom. There's like a garden. There's a bedroom. It's just a really, really cute game, really fun game. It was honestly might be my favorite game of the year it came out. I can't remember which year, but I remember
2022.
Yeah, I just remember that year. Everyone's like talking about these games that came out, and I was like, Tinykin Sweep. I loved it so much. It was such a fun game, but I don't know if either of you have played it.
Yeah, I
I'm
played
not even
tinykin.
sure what it is.
Yeah, I played it when it came out. I was really hyped for it when I saw the initial like reveal trailer.
Mm-hmm.
It looked really fun, and it definitely was one of those games that's like a cozy game. You can play it and
Yeah.
just like it's not like heavy on like you're not going to be like totally enthralled in this like epic adventure. It's a fun little romp. I really enjoyed when I played it. I haven't played it since it came out though, so I'm a little hazy on some of the like overall game. But the gameplay is so much fun.
Yeah. It's a collectathon, so if you don't want to have to try and find all the pollen to like get the trophy, I understand if that's not your type of thing, but I do love that kind of game, especially once you get to the end game where all you're doing is trying to collect the rest of the stuff that's still in the game. It's just a podcast game. You throw on a podcast and just run around. The first time I played it, even the second time I played it, I had a dumb smile on my face the entire time because it's just such a cute, like you said, cozy game that I absolutely love it. I highly, highly recommend it to anyone. If I ever do get an indie channel off the ground, like I kind of want to do, which don't anyone keep your hopes up. I'm a very busy person. Eventually, one day, Tinykin probably be the first game I cover because I do love this game that much. If it had merch, I'd buy it. But like, I'd buy a little plush Tinykin if they sold them. But I don't know if they do. I haven't looked. But I adore that game.
All right.
And then next,
playing one other game, right?
Pardon? I got two.
I said you're playing another game too.
Yeah, I got two. I got two others. We can. My last one, might talk for a little while about it, but I'm replaying Final Fantasy VII Remake because, as I talked about last week, I'm the kind of gamer who, if a new sequel is coming out, I have to play every game leading up to it. Just I don't know why. It's a broken part of my brain that I feel like I have to do it to remind myself what's happening because I have a terrible memory thanks to alcohol. But Final Fantasy VII Remake, I've been replaying it. I'm only through chapter 3 after a week because another game has been taking my time. But this game it's so special. I remember when they announced it, I was just hyped because it's like Final Fantasy VII is not universally, but mostly universally like the most beloved Final Fantasy of all the games. And for a reason, it's amazing. So when they announced the remake, of course, when they announced the remake, I was like, oh, it's exclusive to PlayStation for a bit. I'll get it when it comes to Xbox. Well, we're still waiting on that one. But so when they announced Intermission, actually, that like the PS5 upgrade version where with the Yuffie DLC, that's actually when I bought it. So I never played it on PS4. I've been playing it on that clear, crisp 60 FPS on PS5. And I'm just replaying through it. It's such a great game. Like I said, only chapter 3, so I still have a ways to go. But even from what I've played, it's so good. It's just, I love it. I don't like. We'll talk about Rebirth a lot when that comes out, I'm sure. But as right now with just Remake, I'm in love with this game. I'm just more in love with the next game I'm going to talk about. But yeah, I know you guys have played it as well, or Sean has.
Yeah. Sean.
Oh my god, I absolutely love Remake. I got it day one. I'll never forget when I got it because we were in peak lockdown during COVID, and that's all I did. I just marathon that game. All that I basically did during COVID was run, cook / bake, and play video games. And Final Fantasy, I Rebirth, I played basically nonstop. I beat it in like 4 days, and then I went back and just I played it over and over again. I got the platinum, and I absolutely loved it. And then when they did the integrate for PS5, I played it again on PS5, and I can't get enough of that game. Like I just can't get enough of it. The way that they portrayed Midgar in like a full-on 3D giant world, not pixelated, not blocky like on the PS1, was insane. It blew me away. Like I had such high expectations, and they completely overshot them. From the music, the gameplay, just the enemies, the characters, and giving so much more like dialogue to like Jesse and Biggs and Wedge. I think in the original, I think Jesse pretty much only says like 2 lines the entire game,
Yeah.
like in the beginning. And this,
And
like,
in this
there's a
game,
whole
they
chapter.
get you to love her.
Yeah, there's like a whole chapter that you find out so much more about her.
Mhm.
Wedge and Biggs, oh my gosh, made me I couldn't believe how much more I appreciated them. Barrett was phenomenal. He's hilarious. Sounds just like I expected. Like pretty much exactly the way I
Yeah.
expected him to sound from playing the OG. Overall, it was just amazing, and just the way that the game is not like a real remake. I have so many like theories, and I've talked to them. I've talked to them with people before. Me and my dad had like a after the game, because I was still living at home at the time. After the game, me and him both played it. We had like a 3.5 to 4 hour conversation about what we think is going on, and now with Rebirth coming up, it's going to be insane. Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, yeah, because I remember when they announced it in the original, they talked about how, or people were like talking about how it's like they're like it's only going to be set in Midgard. And I was like, that's like an hour or two of the game. Why are we only going? We're going to spend 40 hours or like 30 hours or whatever it is in just Midgard when it's only the first opening of the game basically. And yeah, they knocked it out of the park. All right,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
I've been going forever, so I'll try and keep this next one tight. I mean,
Well,
I have nothing to say.
hold on.
Oh, sorry.
I want to talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake
Okay.
real quick, because I played it, I loved it. I played it, I think, on PS5. I don't think I played it on the PS4. Not sure, but I definitely played it on the PS5, and I played the Yuffie DLC. Beautiful game, amazing game. I have not played the original, as we talked about, which I plan to do sometime, maybe this year. We'll see. But it's just a phenomenal game. They made that Midgar section feel like a full game. It didn't feel like it was padded. It felt natural. And I just want to say that shout out to my boy Barrett. Barrett was my favorite player to control and combat. It wasn't not in the beginning. In the beginning, I was using a lot of Cloud and stuff like that. But towards the latter half and latter end of the game, I really was getting into Barrett. It was just fun, like just spraying people down with the minigun, and then the meter charges up, and then you hit like a triangle or whatever, and then it's got boom, 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 like the grenade launcher on him, and then you do your abilities too. He had some cool, powerful abilities. He was just a lot of fun, just spraying and praying, just gunning people down. Man, I can't wait for Rebirth, but I don't want to get into that too much right now because we have a structure. So what was your next game, Hodge?
Yeah, so lastly, but definitely not leastly, I've been, as everyone basically on the internet has been playing, I've been playing Helldivers 2, and I haven't had this much fun with just a co-op game since, well, Fortnite when that launched, but that's a different kind of thing because that's a PvP, where this is PvE. I haven't had this much fun since, honestly, which another game we'll talk about later, back in the Battlefront days, playing split screen with people, just going through waves of stormtroopers, super battle droids, the works, just going in and like the old Halo days, let's squat up, the Left 4 Dead days. Just, it's this vibe that honestly we're even for Sean, who's the youngest of us, this is like something that we haven't felt since we were kids, like, or just even younger, like me in high school, like, or even Nazi zombies from World at War, just getting on and just always having people like, we need to squat up and do this. And that's how Helldivers is now. It's like every time I get on, someone from my friends list just jumps on the ship with us. It's just like, oh crap, we got 4 already. Like, and then some people text like, hey, you need a 4th. I'm like, sorry, we're in the full squad. It's like, sorry. Like, it's just that popular of a game that everyone's playing, and we don't have to get too much into the nitty gritty of each kind of thing. I could talk about, this will be on my what are we playing for the next 2 months, I'm sure, at least. And so I can talk about it as much, but just, I want to get into just the fun of just the squad up and co-op of get in there, do the missions, find the side missions if you want, extract, and just the hilarity of the, like, someone throws down a like a carpet bomb from a like an orbital thing, and because when you punch in like a code to bring everything in, and then you throw it like a grenade, and if you throw it at something wrong, it's gonna bounce back at you, and you're like, oh crap, run, because this thing's about to come in and blow you up. And it's just hilarious. I have so many clips saved to my phone already that I've posted on our Discord of just the stupid crap that happens where it's like, you got me killed, and it's like you never get mad about it. You're always just laughing your ass off because it's just fun with your friends. And that's just what I love the most about this game. The lore, of course, is hilarious. They're like the Super Troopers, over exaggerated patriotism of like, it's your duty to die for the planet kind of thing. And it has that kind of over the top humor, but I love it. I can't say enough about this game, but I don't know if either of you have played Helldivers yet at all.
So yeah, Helldivers, I have not played it. I have seen quite a bit of it. The game looks awesome. It looks so good. It looks so fun. Shout out to Arrowhead. Shout out to PlayStation. They got one. This is a big game. Everybody's playing it. It's breaking some records. It was like this is like 400,000 or more concurrent players on Steam. They're just killing it. So happy for them. You love to see it.
Yeah.
The game looks really fun. I can see the appeal in it. It's got those viral moments where you accidentally team kill your people, like with a ricocheted bomb or a misplaced orbital strike, or they run into it and just get destroyed, and that's hilarious. So it's got those viral shareable moments. My couple of my friends actually tried to get me to play it. They're like, yo, get on and play. And I kind of want to, but I'm staying strong because I know if I jump on the live service like that, it's just going to eat all of my time and I'm just going to be playing it all the time. So even though I kind of want to play it, I'm holding off. I'm staying abstinent because I need to stick to these games that I'm playing. I got all these single player games that I want to beat. Like great games that I want to get to that we can talk about on the show. So I haven't played Helldivers 2 yet, but it does look phenomenal. And what about you, Sean?
So I've not played it yet. I tried to jump into a game like once and I couldn't get into the game. This is like earlier in the week though. And I tried for like an hour and a half and I just couldn't, wouldn't let me get in. So I have not played it. It's definitely not my type of game. Like like I said, I'm not big into like the multiplayer online games, but being that it's not a PvP game, it's kind of like it's a teamwork game, kind of like a horde mode. I think I could really get into it. I will eventually try it, probably sometime next week, but I do have my hands full with a couple other games, and with Rebirth coming out, I'm going to be deep into that. So we'll see. It looks fun. Unlike most people, I have like not seen anything like about this game. I've not looked at gameplay videos. I've not really looked at anyone's videos they've shared. I've seen like the trailers for it, and I've seen the gameplay from like when they did some promotion for it. But that's it. I really don't know what to expect when I jump in. But Hodge, I can see the joy in your face when you talk about this game, and I love that because people should just be playing games that they enjoy, and that's like the best part about gaming. No need to play games you don't enjoy.
Oh yeah.
I've seen some funny clips that you've shared in Discord where like people like dolphin dive off of the cliff and die, and just people getting blown up, and it's just hilarious.
Yeah, because it
definitely looks like a good one.
It's cool because it's one of those games where it's it's not quote unquote realistic, but it has realistic kind of gameplay of there's fall damage. If you jump off a cliff that's too high, you're gonna get hurt. If you actually you have to actually reload your weapon when you run out of ammo. It doesn't auto do it. If you reload while you still have bullets in your clip, you lose those bullets. It's not like Call of Duty where they just kind of go back into your bandolier or whatever. It's just you lose so you have to make sure you empty that clip before you have to reload. And then obviously with the friendly fire, you have to not do that because you get 20 lives, and then once you hit 0, there's a 2-minute cooldown for the next life to come back. So you have to make sure once you hit 0, everyone needs to stay alive, or else because you can only get one person back every 2 minutes. So you have to kind of make sure, as funny as it is to to accidentally kill your teammate, you don't want to waste them all, because especially once you get to the more challenging modes when you're fighting 3 Bile Titans at once, you're just like, I'm going to die. So yeah, you want to make sure you're using your inventory correctly. But yeah, I could talk about this game all day, but I'm not going to because we are on a time budget. So yeah.
All right, so that was Helldivers 2. I think that was your last game, Hodge, right?
Yep.
All right, some good games. We'll definitely talk about them again, I'm sure. So moving on to me, I am only playing one game. This game has dominated my life. This game is a massive time sink. This is a game, guys. This is a real game. I am playing the game of the year from last year, Baldur's Gate 3. This game is absolutely phenomenal. Shout out to Larian. They killed it with this game. I can't believe it. I started on January 2nd. I went back and looked. So from January 2nd until today, which is February 24th that we're now recording this, that is the only game that I've played this entire year. And not because I don't want to play other games, but because this game is just so massive. It's just dominated 100% of my time. It's so good. I'm at like 115 hours played, I believe.
Wow.
I'm in Act 3. I'm at the very end. I'm at the finish line. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I can see it. I think I only have like 4 tasks left that I know of, like the 4 big things that I need to do. I'm not going to say what they are. I don't want to spoil anything. But this game is absolutely phenomenal. I'm playing as, for people who are playing the game or are interested in the lore, just so you know, I'm playing as a half-orc paladin, 2-handed weapon, just big crits go burr. Lots of fun. My romance, there's romance in the game. They have really amazing companions in this game that are obviously everything's fully voiced. And like these people have great stories, great moments with choice and consequence. My romance for this playthrough is Lae'zel. Shout out to Lae'zel. Very slept on. A lot of people don't like her because she's kind of a bitch to be frank. She's kind of a bitch in the early game. She's very harsh and hostile, and she's kind of like, do you want? Leave me alone. Let's go kill these people. Hurry up and take me to the creche. It's like, but she really, like, once you get to know her, she really warms up and becomes very like softer and more, more whatever. It's just so good. The combat is great. Shout out to Baldur's Gate 3. I'm sure most of you already know and are familiar with this game. It's absolutely the game of the year for me, for last year, I guess, even though I played it this year. And when I get at the end of the year, I like to do a video on my channel where I like rank all the games that I played for the year. So 2024, when that video comes out later, Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be hard to top. Let me just say that. That game is so good.
Last year you had what, top 23? This year you're going to have top 5.
Yeah. I think what's next for me after Baldur's Gate 3, I'm eyeing that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I think that's going to be the next game that I'm going to play. But yeah, Baldur's Gate 3, absolute. It's a labor of love. You can just tell the effort that those devs poured into this game. It's just dripping and oozing with production and AAA value everywhere. And it's just so fun. Do you guys have anything to say about Baldur's Gate 3? Have either of you guys played it?
Yeah, I played through Baldur's Gate 3 last year. I really enjoyed it. I went in not expecting not really expecting much. Actually, Lockmort convinced me to play it. Shout out to Locke. I do have a promise for him. I promised him I would platinum it. Didn't give him a time frame, but I will platinum it on PlayStation at some point. I know it's going to take me forever.
That's a serious platinum.
I played as a gnome. I went as a gnome, and I was a rogue. So I was a little stealthy, sneaking around, pickpocketing, stealing things. Yep. The dialogue is fantastic. That's what really made me realize how insane this game was. The dialogue is fantastic. From almost every interaction matters. Like every single time you talk to someone, it's like a full-on conversation. What you say is going to matter, and the choices are so vague that sometimes you're like, oh, I think it's going to go this way, and you pick that and you're like, that's not what I intended at all. I did not want that to happen. And then you have to deal with it. I'm not resetting. I didn't do any of that. I really can't wait to get back to it. It's definitely going to be a game that I probably this summer I'm going to replay again and completely change the way I played it.
With the vague things, I always think of that moment in Mass Effect where you're talking to that reporter, and if you do like the mean one, you literally just punch her in the face.
Dude, that's a classic, classic gaming moment.
But I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3. I've heard, obviously nothing but glowing reviews. I'm sure I'd enjoy it, but that's just one of those games where it's like it's so long that I don't think I'll ever get to it. But it is so cool. Like even speaking back to Helldivers 2, like these smaller studios, I don't know if Arrowhead's owned by Sony or whatever, but if they just published it, but it's cool.
Second party.
Okay. It's cool to see these quote unquote smaller teams have these games that are just so beloved. And so I love that for Larry, and that they just dominated last year, even though I think Alan Wake 2 is the game of the year, but that's beside the point. But Baldur, it looks so cool, and I love that it's one of those where in most games where it's like your choice matters, and then it's just like, well, does it? But in this game, it's like everything matters, and I love that about it, because isn't it basically just kind of a D&D campaign but in game form? Yeah, so that is
exactly.
that is really cool. But yeah, it's when people are like, yeah, it took me like 70 hours to get through Act 1. I'm like, Act 1? Like I don't think I'll be getting to that one. But I do love that it's awesome, and I love that team having that success and that people are enjoying it. But yeah, it's not one I'll probably get to, just purely out of time constraints. That, like you said, it's the only game you've played, and we're 2 months into the year, so it's just like I don't. If I maybe when I retire in 40 years. So
Yeah, I was beating 2 to 3 games per month last year, and this year 1 game for 2 months. So
yeah,
it is a game. Have you guys played Dragon Age Origins?
Never played a
Oh
Dragon
my
Age
God.
game.
no.
Game's so good. For listeners out there who've played Dragon Age Origins, this feels like a spiritual successor to that game. It's like that style, but bigger and grander. But yeah, so that's the only game that I'm playing. Look forward to our next episode. I will be playing another game finally, so I'll have more to talk about on this segment. Sean, what are you playing?
All right, so it's about to get really anime, so I'm sorry. Very weebish in here. I've been
Weebs.
playing Granblue Fantasy ReLink. Quite the name. And this game is a JRPG that was in development for so long, and I was hyped when they first announced it. And I had never heard of Granblue before, so I started doing research, and I found out this big thing in Japan. And so when I found out that it was coming to the United States, I did a lot of research. I actually watched the anime for Granblue. So I came in with some backstory on the characters, because this is a game that if you're going to play for the story, you need to catch up on the anime, because you're thrown right into it. And it's like you have your full party, and it's like in the middle of a story. You're like, all right, it's like a new season of the show, basically. Which, I mean, you can play it without watching the anime, obviously. But those relationships, those prior relationships that were, established, it's kind of alluded to, like, oh, I wonder how they became kind of like buddy, or why are these two a little bit closer compared to the others, and why is their job like sky patrollers? Like, how are they well known sky? That's what they're called, sky patrollers. The art style is fantastic. It's so, like I said, it's very like, if you've ever played a Tales game, it's kind of like a combination of a Tales game and a Star Ocean game for the art style. Combat is very much like a Tales game, so it's not a turn-based RPG, it's an action RPG, but there's a lot of abilities, and there's a ton of customization. Like, there's 12 different playable characters, and you have a party of 4, and the way you can build these characters is insane. They all have like 12 abilities to choose from. You unlock them as you go. And then you can equip these things called sigils, which like improve your whatever your stats are. You have like an attack one, you have like a critical hit one, but there's certain characters are built certain ways where certain sigils like work better with them. So for example, there's this one character named Zeta, and you can totally break the game with her if you give her a ton of like critical damage, and because she has this move where basically she ensures her that she critical hits enemies, and if you just keep increasing that critical damage, she just does so much damage. But even then, it breaks the game to a point, because right now I'm playing on ultimate difficulty, and it is so difficult. Some of the bosses in this game are ridiculous. Like, I have a full party maxed out, and I'm on the last boss on ultimate difficulty, and it is insane. I know I just kind of threw a lot out there, but from a story perspective, the game's really fun. It's really short too. It's only like 11 hours for the main story. It's like really short, and it started off, I was like, this is kind of shallow, but then as you go, once you get to like, there's 11 chapters. It's technically 10, but then there's a final chapter. They just call it final. When you get to that like chapter 9, chapter 10, the story just picks up and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe they're doing this. And you're like, is it over? Like, I think I won. And it's like, nope, you didn't. Here comes something else. They're back again. The bad guys are back again. And it's very like very much anime. Like, you know, oh my god, we have to save the world. We have to save the world. But hey, let's stop at this cafe and eat pastries and talk about relationships.
Are you a teenager in school also?
No, you look like teenagers, but they're some of the characters are like 4,000 years old, 5,000 years old. So,
yeah.
Your main character, like the main character, is he's like the captain of like the crew. You can name him whatever you want, but he's still like voiced. But his canon name is Gran, but they don't call they never say Gran. Every time they say his name in dialogue, it's Captain. I just want to say shout out to Siegfried. He's my boy. I like playing as Siegfried. Very, very powerful attacker. Like pretty much heavy character, two-handed sword. Can basically all his moves, all his skills involve like fire. He's really cool. I really enjoy him. He has a really cool backstory. Like they have these things called Fate episodes, and you get a little bit of backstory about all of the characters and how they came to join the Sky Patrol. And yeah, it's overall I'm enjoying it. It's definitely not for everyone. Like definitely, if you're gonna play for a story, I would not recommend this game unless you're really into Granblue. But if you're into like a fantastic gameplay loop, because like there's a ton of side quests and like they're like basically like if you've ever played a Monster Hunter game, like you're going out and you're like doing horde battles, you're doing survivor battles, or you're doing boss battles. I've had a lot of fun with it. I've put like 70 hours into it, and I started it like 3 weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it, but like I said, it's very anime.
Nice. Hodge, is that doing anything for you?
Knowing that it was kind of like this big world that you had to kind of know going into it, that's what I knew I wouldn't be playing it because of that. But what did intrigue me enough to think about playing it, I probably won't, to be honest, but if I did, it's the fact that it is a shorter game, because usually when it's like they announce a JRPG, it's just like the default is like, oh, it's gonna be 100 hours. So when people are like of course when it's those think pieces online of like, why is it only 20 hours, it's like, I love that it's only 20 hours. That's what intrigues me to want to play this. But yeah, knowing that it's like you have to watch an anime or what, that it's an actual sequel, it's not really it's standalone, that's what kind of makes me think like I probably won't get around to it. But it does sound cool, and the fact that it is 20 hours appeals to me. But yeah, it's probably not one I'll ever get around to.
Yeah, I will say this: the real game starts in the post game. Like that, it's one of those games. Like the real game starts in the post game.
I promise, man, it gets good after 15 hours. I promise.
No, it's gameplay wise, it's a blast after though, and
Okay.
like I'm enjoying it, and that's that's all that really matters for me is if I'm enjoying it.
Gotcha.
Midnight,
Right
I assume you're out on this game.
No, I mean I like JRPGs actually. I consider myself weeb adjacent. I'm not a weeb, but I do like some weeb things. I like some JRPGs. This actually is a game that I was interested in, but I was turned off by the fact that it's like a sequel kind of to a game that we don't have in the West. And they just kind of drop you in and they're like, oh, you know all these characters, right? Of course you do. And they don't really tell you what you need to know. So apparently you have to watch an anime first. And I don't know that I want to do all that. So I was considering playing this game, and now I'm probably not. Never say never. I might get to it at some point, but it's not on my immediate to-do list at this point.
Yeah, especially these last year and this year, the amount of games coming out, that backlog is ever growing. That it's just like, it's pretty like, if nothing else is out, I'd give it a shot, but that is not the case. I'm still catching up on 2023 games, let alone these 2024 games coming out. So, yeah.
All right, Sean, did you have another game?
Oh yeah, I only played very briefly of it, but I was interested in it when it got announced last year. It's called Ultros. It's like a Metroidvania. The art style it's like a painting basically. It's really cool. I've only played probably an hour. Gameplay is really good. It's classic Metroidvania. You start out in an area, you're like, I know I'm going to come back here with some power up to get me through this. So far, I'm liking it. I had to take a break from Granblue because I was getting really frustrated on a boss. So that's why I did that. But yeah, I'm probably going to get more into that at some point.
All right. Fantastic. All right, so that concludes the what we're playing section. I think that was really good. We got a lot of great games going on. Definitely got to gush about them, which is good. That's what this podcast is all about, the love of gaming. I'm sure we'll get into that some more. Let's go ahead and jump into the topics and news section of the show now. And we're going to go ahead and start with the same thing that episode 1 was about. We now know what's going on. We're going to hop into Xbox. So last week, I believe it was, or maybe it was this week, Xbox had their podcast, their business update, in which Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, and Sarah Bond were on there, and they talked about what's coming next with Xbox. We learned several things. Let me break down what we learned real quick, and then we'll go ahead and talk about it. So what we learned was 4 games are going to be coming to other platforms. We now know what they are. Grounded and Pentiment were confirmed to be coming to Switch. My cat's very excited about that, if you can hear him. PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, Grounded and Pentiment. The other ones are Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves coming to PlayStation 5. There's going to be no overall change in strategy. Xbox exclusives will continue. Hardware is not going away. In fact, I believe they teased that there's going to be a next-gen Xbox, which Sarah Bond claimed would be the largest leap ever, she said, whatever that means. But that's exciting. Starfield and Indiana Jones are not planned for other platforms as of now. Could change in the future, but they're not currently. They weren't in the 4. All Xbox games will be day one Game Pass still. They announced 34 million Game Pass members, which includes core, we're pretty sure. So not super high numbers, not the most impressive ever, but 34 million, that's something. Not too bad. They announced, this is something I'm personally very excited about. They announced Diablo 4 coming to Game Pass in late March. Personally, I can't wait for that. I'll talk more about that when we get to my thoughts. So that's basically what it was. That's what they announced. So let's go ahead and talk about what we heard and what we thought. And let's go ahead and start with Sean. What did you think about the Xbox business update?
So I think we basically heard, they kind of confirmed what we kind of already knew towards the end there, that these 4 games were coming. We kind of expected these 4 games. My biggest surprise was that Hi-Fi Rush wasn't coming to Switch, but then I started thinking about it, and it's like it probably can't run on Switch that well. Let's be honest.
Switch 2.
I think it's definitely Switch 2. I think at launch, Switch 2. I'm excited for the fact that Hi-Fi Rush is coming to PlayStation, though, so that more people can experience this game. Same thing with Pentiment. For example, those 2 games were critical darlings, but they didn't do that well commercially, and they deserve all the love they can get. I hope that these games sell so well, because I would love a sequel to a Hi-Fi Rush, and I would love another game like Pentiment. It doesn't have to be Pentiment 2. It can be set in a whole different time period. I don't it doesn't matter when, because I adored Pentiment. It was one of those games that I kept thinking of
100%.
after I played it. So I'm pretty excited. I want them to sell really well. I've already bought Pentiment on PlayStation. I bought the physical copy from Limited Run as well. So I'm excited. Like I said, I didn't think Xbox was going anywhere. I didn't run out and sell, the Series X we have in the house. I didn't,
Sean,
doom and gloom.
You didn't have trouble sleeping, Sean?
Xbox brand. So that's basically my thoughts.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. You weren't having trouble sleeping there, Sean? Is that...
No, I actually I slept really great. Unfortunately, my wife, she had trouble sleeping though, unfortunately.
That's funny.
All right. So,
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Hodge.
No, you're up.
I was just going to ask it. So, Sean, what do you think about the 4 games? So they said it's only 4 games at this time. Are we believing that? What do you think?
No, I don't believe that at all. I think we're going to see more games coming later this year. I think because they announced them so quickly. I think that in June, in June I could see them saying, "Hey, well, here's 4 other games coming, and it's going to be, I don't know, Halo Master Chief Collection,
Forza,
Starfield, and I don't know, name 2 other games.
Flight Sim, probably.
Yeah, I don't believe them either. But okay, Hodge, we haven't heard from you yet. What were your overall thoughts about the Xbox business update? Everything we learned, and what do you really think is gonna the future?
I didn't watch it because it happened while I was during one of my like 11-hour work days, and I just kind of saw the bullet points of it, but I just it was just all PR speak, you could tell, but like I wasn't as upset with other people who were like, "Why is Phil being so wishy-washy?" I'm like, because he's opening himself up to like lawsuits or, probably pissing off shareholders or something if he promises something that's not going to happen or promises something won't happen that is going to happen. So I wasn't as I'm not like, "Oh, Papa Phil, he does no wrong," but like you can't, especially like the famous quote from Jim Ryan of "We believe in generations," like, and then now they're just starting to not put games on PS4, so you can't really make these declarative statements and then risk having it change, because yeah, he's like he said, never say never with Starfield or that kind of thing, but I doubt they're planning. I mean, maybe they are, but I doubt they're planning on it right now. But if Hi-Fi goes to PlayStation, sells 3 million copies, then maybe they'll be like, all right, maybe we will put Starfield over there. I don't know, but yeah, I do. I also, as Sean said, with as quick as these are coming out, just bang, bang, bang in the next 3 months or whatever it is, they will be putting more. I think they're working on it, and they're giving themselves the ability to back out if this does go wrong, or I don't know how it will go wrong because they're just gonna get money from it. But if it does go like, because I think if these 4 come out and everyone loves that they're on these consoles, they're gonna be like, all right, also we got Flight Sim, we got, I don't know, a Gears collection, I don't, random Xbox game. But yeah,
Hellblade.
yeah, maybe Hellblade. That would probably have to come to the PS5 Pro because I don't know, because it looks pretty tough. But as for the 4 games, it's pretty much exactly, well, it was what was rumored, and it makes sense what they're doing. They're not the hard hitters. They're just these cool side games. Like Grounded and Sea of Thieves makes sense because it's cross play, even on Switch, which is crazy to me that Switch can play cross play. But getting that for Grounded and then being able to play them, it just adds to the user base. It's gonna get more people into the game. Pentiment, again, that's a game I need to play. I'm excited to play it. So it's cool that it's coming out. And then Hi-Fi Rush, I've been saying this since day one when these rumors coming up. I want everyone to play this game because I loved it so much. And I know a lot of people probably are trying to be like, Xbox has Hi-Fi Rush as kind of like their copium thing, but it's truly an amazing game and everyone should play it. That's another thing. I'd buy a plush of a little 808 ball. I'd buy that in a heartbeat. I loved that game. It was so funny. It was so good. But with like, and then of course I did kind of, nothing really changed with me. Obviously you kind of went from like the doomer outlook of just like Xbox is over to kind of like, I guess they're gonna go partially third party but partially not, so I was just kind of like, but then of course when they're like, oh, we're gonna have the new Xbox that's gonna be the largest leap in generations, my monkey brain is like, ooh, shiny. So I was just like, all of a sudden I went from, oh, you guys are talking out your ass PR speak to like, ooh, new Xbox. Ooh. But even though I know that's just the same way with the iPhone, every single year when they announce a new iPhone, like, it's the best iPhone yet. It's like, well, no shit, it's the best one yet. It's the biggest leap or whatever. So that was kind of corporate speak for me for the new Xbox. I'm sure it will be powerful, but I doubt it's going to be coming out 4K ray tracing 120 kind of specs. It's just going to be a better Xbox that runs slightly quicker. As for the Diablo 4 thing, that's cool. I've never been kind of the over the head strategy or whatever it is kind of RPG. I don't even know kind of gameplay. Like my brother used to play Warcraft back in the day, like the OG over the top strategy one, or top down. So I didn't have that much, but with it in Game Pass, I might give it a shot. But as for the exclusivity sting, yeah, I think it'll I think it's a kind of wait and see kind of situation. I doubt they're not ruling anything out, but they're also not committing, which I think is actually smart. As much as people want to give them shit because it's Xbox, I think it was a smart decision to say like, this is smart for us. We need to make more money for this brand. Honestly, I could see it. Not that obviously I have no insider info and I'm an idiot, but I could see Xbox not being a console, but Xbox being a gaming brand kind of thing, where Xbox will come to PlayStation in a sense, but it's not like the console is its own thing, but Xbox is kind of like, yeah, the gaming brand kind of thing, less than a console. And I think that's kind of what they're going to move towards, because when it comes to the console, they're getting their ass kicked by Switch and PlayStation. So then you can't lie about that. They're getting outsold 2-1 or whatever. And the Xboxes that are mostly in the wild are S's, which are the weaker ones. So people just obviously they want to buy cheaper consoles, but so they are losing the console war, but who cares? That if they're going to make money off their games, they're going to make money off their games. And if it goes to other consoles, all right, whatever. I understand the whole argument of why would I buy an Xbox thing. We talked about that last episode, but I don't know. It was, people are kind of mad that they're calling it a nothing burger, but to me, the podcast was kind of a nothing burger. It was just corporate speak of like, we want the best for our customers and we will give the best. And it's like, yeah, all right, cool, bye. Like, so, yeah, I don't know, but it was whatever. We'll see.
Right. All right. Good thoughts. Good thoughts. All right. So I'm going to echo a lot of the sentiments that you guys had. Let me give my thoughts here. So we'll start with the 4 games. They said it's only 4 games. I think we know that's BS, if we're being honest. It's 4 games right now.
Yeah.
And that's cool. But there will be more games in the future. Which I think is smart as long as it's selective and it makes sense.
Yeah.
As long as not everything is going to other platforms, because if everything starts going, then there's no reason to own an Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
I think with this presentation, they did assuage most of the fears. I think that's the right word that people have. Sean, is that the right word? You're an English guy. Assuage the fears?
Yes, it is.
All right. Big words over here. Professional podcasting, guys. All right. Make sure you drop a like and a sub. 5 stars on podcast streaming. All right. So I think they did assuage most of the fears that people had, though, that Xbox is going away. Xbox is clearly not going away. I think in the future, like 10 to 15 years from now, I think Xbox is going to be an app. I think PlayStation is going to be an app. I think that's the future that we're going to, where consoles are not going to be super relevant. And the majority of gamers, let's say 80, 90% of people, are either going to be playing on PC with streaming, or they'll have like a streaming device. And you'll have the Xbox app and you'll have the PlayStation app. And it's mostly going to be powered by the cloud in 10 to 15 years. That's just my thought. Obviously, we can't see the future. But I think they're both going to be an app at some point in the future. Nintendo, they'll probably do Nintendo things. I'm sure they'll still have some weird some weird hardware.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, no overall change in the strategy. Xbox exclusives will continue. So hardware is not going away. Like I said, they got rid of the fear that we had that they were going fully third party. They're not. They're just going to be a bit more agnostic, and there are going to be some more games that go elsewhere, which I think is fine. As long as you still have a reason to own an Xbox, you got powerful hardware, you have Game Pass, you're getting everything day and date. There are going to be titles that will not go to other platforms. I don't think they're ever going to put everything on other platforms. There's going to be exclusives still, even if they do start to put selective and more things on other platforms. For me, nothing really has changed. I'm still going to buy the next Xbox. I'm still going to be a Game Pass member because Game Pass is amazing. The only thing that's really changed is I am considering more strongly buying select third-party games on PlayStation instead, just because the digital library and stuff. I feel like PlayStation is maybe a little bit more secure in the future with the digital library because they're not going as strongly into this third-party thing and because they are so dominant in console. But for the most part, nothing has really changed. Xbox is here. They are one of the biggest publishers in the world right now. They have like 34 plus studios. They're going to be putting out tons of games, banger games, hopefully. And the future is bright for them. The future is bright for PlayStation. The future is bright for Nintendo. I just think this is a great time to be alive if you're a gamer in general.
Mm-hmm.
As far as Diablo 4, just before everybody beats up Hodge in the chat, that is not a strategy game. Just so you know, it is an action game. It's not turn based at all. And I've never played Diablo personally, so that's what excites me about Diablo 4 coming to Game Pass. Is I'll finally be able to jump in. Because the game looks interesting. Like the story I've heard is really good, with like Lilith and all the demons and stuff. So I plan on playing that. I don't plan on doing it like a live service though. I plan on just going in there and kind of beating it like a single player story game. Like I'm just going to do the story. I'm going to create a character. I'm going to beat up on some dungeons and mobs and get some good gear, and then I'll be done. I'll be out of there. That's my plan. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me as far as the Xbox stuff. I think the sky is not falling. Is this perfect? If you're an Xbox fanboy, is this perfect? No, right? Obviously, if you're an Xbox fanboy, which we are not, but if you are, you're probably a little bit, yeah, if you're an Xbot, this probably isn't super thrilling to you, but at least the sky isn't falling. Your brand is not dying. They're not quitting. It's not going away. It's just going to be a little bit more agnostic, like this podcast. You know, there's going to be more games on other platforms. And just the last thing that I will say about the Xbox is Pentiment is freaking amazing. Your PlayStation gamers, your Switch gamers out there, go buy Pentiment and play it because Obsidian is the GOAT and Pentiment is awesome. And that does it for me on the Xbox. Before we move on, do either of you have any final thoughts for the Xbox stuff?
Yeah, I just want to say, let's just be serious though about the fanboys. Fanboys are never happy. Doesn't matter what happens, they are never happy. They're never getting
That's
enough.
true.
They're never getting enough games. They're always complaining about the other company. They're always they're never happy. So it doesn't matter what they could have announced that. Oh, we as Xbox are going to bring all these games to other platforms, but because we're doing that, it's going to give us enough money to, I don't know, make the next great Halo game. And they'd be like, no, it's not. We can't do that. No, it doesn't matter. They're not going to be happy no matter what. So
yeah. And for the record, with the Diablo thing, I just saw it was top down, and I assumed. I don't know. I've never played a Diablo game.
Neither have I. Never played Diablo. Probably never will.
None of us have.
I was gonna say something else, but I forgot. So we can just move on. It's okay.
All right, we'll move on. It'll come back to you later. We'll be talking about Nintendo, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, damn it!" It always happens. So let's go ahead and jump into our next topic of discussion: the Nintendo Direct. This just happened the other day. Sean is very excited about this. I personally, I don't have a Switch, but I'm waiting for the Switch 2. I'm going to get the Switch 2, and I'm going to have a lot of catch up to do. So I did watch the Nintendo Direct. I think we all checked it out. We got some games, some selective games that we want to talk about. Let's go ahead and start with the first game on our list that we saw that we were excited about, and that was Star Wars Battlefront. This is a remake of the old games, the old ones, like 2004, 2005, whatever. I personally have not played these games, so I have little. I know I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The podcast is over. So I have little to add on this. Let me go ahead and just toss it right over to the person who I know both of you are super excited, but the first person that his head exploded when he saw this was Hodge. Hodge, Battlefront. What's up?
Oh my god, I was so hyped. I did have to kind of laugh though, because they've made Battlefront 1 and 2, quote unquote, the new ones that came out. And so I just kind of, when this got announced, I had like that Thanos meme where it's just like, your failures brought you back to me, like that kind of thing or whatever. Because these games, oh my god, like I said with like Helldivers, just playing split screen, and just going through and doing like the domination, I can't remember what it was called in Battlefront, where you have to just collect the different zones and just, oh my god, I love this game. This was actually one of the first games I ever played online too, because I remember playing the heroes versus like villains mode online with other people, and even just doing the full sieges and stuff. I was so hyped when this got announced because I love these games. I actually played the first, or might have been the first one. I played it with my cousin last year. When I was still living out in Iowa, we were waiting for a Bears game to start, and we just needed something to play, like just waste some time until kickoff. And so we saw that Battlefront. We had Battlefront. And we're like, let's just play split screen, and it was still just so much fun. I was like, God, this game is just so good. And so having these come back with like the 64 player online, I'm so hyped to try that out. But even just go back to playing with just like 4 friends or something, just playing online. I'm over the moon that they're re-releasing these games. I'm so excited to play them again.
Sean?
Whew. Oh my god, this was like during like my peak Star Wars fandom. Is picture it, little Sean Mason, 7 years old, loving Star Wars, absolutely adores, episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, just because, he's little and he thinks Phantom Menace is really cool. He thinks, Darth Maul is the coolest thing ever. And I remember going to my friend Anthony Gallo's house. Shout out to Anthony Gallo. Haven't really talked to him in a long time, but shout out to him. And he has this game called Star Wars Battlefront. And I'm like, what is this? And we pick it up. And I fell in love. We were playing, instant action on Kashyyyk. He showed me this is the best way to play it. You go to Kashyyyk docks, get the sniper, play as the clone troopers. Boom, you're all set. No, I put so many hours in just playing like instant action. You play all the different game modes, all the different maps. Me and my friends on Star Wars Battlefront 1, we would try to, because in Star Wars Battlefront 1, you couldn't hurt the heroes or the villains. Like they were like basically like you just couldn't kill them. So we would play games where it's like, oh, we're gonna get into the vehicles and we're gonna try to like hit the hero or villain and launch them across the map. And I'll never forget on what map was it? Oh my gosh, I don't know, but Darth Maul was there, and we spent hours trying to kill Darth Maul with like a vehicle, and we ended up doing it because there was a glitch you could do where if you crushed him in a wall with one of the vehicles, it would like he would just disappear. He wouldn't die; he would just disappear. Like it would just poof. And we were like, oh my gosh. So when Battlefront 2 came out and you could actually play as the heroes and villains, like that was insane to me. That blew my mind, and they actually had health, and I loved playing that game so much. And then Hodge, you might remember this in Star Wars Battlefront 1 when you start up Galactic Conquest. In Galactic Conquest, I literally will say that randomly, and me and my friends would be like, oh my gosh. Because Galactic Conquest, you basically just played through. You can play through as like the clone troopers or the Sith, or you can play as the Empire or the Rebels. And I'll never forget Christmas 2005 opening Battlefront 2 and for PS2 and being like, oh my god, I was in heaven. And like I said, we've put so many hours in that game. I couldn't tell you how many hours I spent in that game, just like staying up all night playing that game. I cannot wait.
Can I just say that I am a little bit disappointed, Sean? There an echo?
No.
Yeah, I hear an echo. Can I just say I am a little bit disappointed, Sean, that you didn't dress up like Darth Maul? Like I thought maybe you were going to come dressed up like Darth Maul. You were so excited about that.
That was Christmas too. I mean, that was Christmas. Jesus, I would not dress up as Darth Maul on Christmas. That was Halloween 2004. I went as Darth Maul. My sister went as Princess Leia.
Nice.
I know,
nice.
different eras of Star Wars, but I don't know why we did that.
I'll have to see if I could find this old Polaroid photo of me when I must have been 8, because it came out Phantom Menace came out in 99. So I must have been 8 years old, and I had a Darth Maul t-shirt on, and I'll have to see if I can find that photo because I was in love with Darth Maul.
Find it,
dude.
Send it to me. I'll put it in the video version.
So I discovered Star Wars probably like 2002. That's when like my dad started showing me like the movies and stuff. When Revenge of the Sith came out in 2004, my dad pulled me out of school to go see that movie, and I was like, Dad,
I went to the midnight showing.
Oh my gosh, I'm jealous. But yeah, I remember he dismissed me, and he's like, I'm like, Dad, you're dismissing me? He's like, what's up? He goes, hey, you know how we said we're gonna see Revenge of the Sith this weekend? I go, yeah. He goes, we're going right now. And I was so hyped, and I was pumped. And you know what I did? The second I got home, I started playing. I played Battlefront 1, and I was like, wow, I can't wait for whatever the next game's gonna be, where they have the episode 3 content in this game. I was so hyped.
Yeah, they're so fun.
Yes, sir. So, what platforms is Battlefront coming to? Is it coming to Xbox and PlayStation as well?
Everything with crossplay.
Yep.
Ooh, I might have to pick that up. That could be a games over plastic gaming session one night. We'll see.
Yes.
All right. Anything else we want to say about Battlefront? It looks awesome.
No, I'm just hyped.
No? All right. The next couple games, Sean, I know you were really excited about. So let's go ahead and I'm going to pass it right over to you. Why don't you go ahead and introduce the next game and let us know what it's doing for you?
All right, we got Epic Mickey. I am so hyped for this game. I remember playing the original on the Wii. I came home from school one day and I was like, you know what? I got some money, and I begged my sister because she had her license. I did not have my license at the time. I was in like eighth grade, I think, when it came out. It was just seventh or eighth grade, and my sister drove me down to GameStop, picked up some Epic Mickey. Shout out to Oswald the Rabbit. Had no idea who that was, and then I did some history research on him. Found out he was sold from Disney for Al Michaels. Disney like basically,
Oh yeah,
yeah, they traded him for Al Michaels, like a commentator. Hilarious.
yeah. I
That's
forgot
like,
about that.
I think that's hilarious.
Al Michaels is a really good commentator, though.
Mhm.
He's one of the OGs.
Yeah, they traded Oswald the Rabbit for him. But anyways, this game is like, it's like an action platformer basically. You go through, and the art style is just fantastic. It's like Steamboat Willie art style, and it's basically the whole premise of the game is all these failed like cartoon pitches by Walt Disney are like in this one universe, and you're going through as Mickey, and you're chasing down Oswald the Rabbit because he's trying to like. Because for those who don't know, Oswald the Rabbit was kind of like the original Mickey, and then Mickey kind of replaced him. So that was like, he was supposed to be the original mascot, and then Mickey like was like, "Hey, I'm Mickey," and so like the whole idea is Oswald's trying to like basically put together all these like failed cartoons and trying to like take back the Disney platform, but you as Mickey are trying to stop him, and it's so cool because the art style is just that classic Steamboat Willie, and I never in my mind thought I would ever see this game re-released, and they did it. And now what I need is the sequel, Epic Mickey 2, to be re-released, and then get a third game and to complete the trilogy. Any of you guys ever play Epic Mickey?
Hodge?
No, I actually hadn't. I think I have. I want to say I have like a Mickey game that was a Games with Gold like years ago, but I never
It might
played
be
it.
Epic Mickey. It might be Epic Mickey 2 because Epic Mickey was originally only on Wii, and then the second one came out and it was on Wii,
Okay.
PS3, and 360. So it might be the second one.
Yeah, I never played it, but I actually didn't watch the direct because I was working, so I kind of just went through. I watched it later, but I kind of skipped over. I watched the games I wanted to see, and then eventually I went back and kind of watched the rest of them. So I'd skipped over this when I initially was kind of skipping through it, but I watched it, and I'm like, oh, I'm all in because I love, as I've said before, I love platformers. That's the game, that's the genre I grew up on, that I was obsessed with. And seeing that it was just an action platformer, I was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play the shit out of this game. Like it looks so fun, it's so cute. Like you're just Mickey Mouse going around doing all. I love platformers, so I was like, oh, that's enough to sell me. And seeing that you put on your list that you're hyped for it, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably gonna have to try and pick this game up at some point. It looks a lot of fun. I love platformers, so I'm all in on this one.
Yeah, and it's like the classic Mickey where he like, I don't know if anyone like, I love Disney. Like I'm not like a Disney adult where I'm like going to. I've actually never been to Disney World, which is funny. I like the cartoons, like the old cartoons and stuff. Like I used to love watching House of Mouse back in the day. Shout out to House of Mouse. But if you are familiar with like old Mickey Mouse cartoons, he's kind of like a troublemaker. Like he's like always like pulling pranks and like running around being mischievous. That's this Mickey. It's not like the current Kingdom Hearts Mickey, who I also love, but it's the mischievous Mickey from the old cartoon. So I think Hodge, I think you're gonna love it because it's one of those games you can just like, you don't have to pay attention to the story. It's like the general plot is Oswald hanging up the cartoons, trying to take back the world. Go stop him. That's it. Go play a bunch of levels, and there's a lot of collectibles too.
Yeah, speaking my language right there.
Right on. Yeah. For me, Epic Mickey is another game that I never played. Man, I'm looking like a fraud out here. Like I swear I play games. I've played hundreds of thousands of games in my days, but Epic Mickey's not one of them. But I did check out the direct. It looks awesome. It looks really good. I think I'm definitely, well, I'm not gonna say definite. There is a high likelihood that I will end up playing this game at some point. Maybe not immediately at launch because the backlog and all the stuff that's coming is just so tremendous. But it looks really good. Epic Mickey fans, you got to be excited. Very good remake. And as Sean said, this remake does well. Maybe a good chance you get the sequel that you want. So that's a good one. Sean, what was the next game that you were excited about?
All right, entering weeb territory again here. So we got Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance. So the original the original oh my gosh. Sorry. The original Shin
Tongue
Megami
twister.
Tensei 5, the original one came out, it was either last year or late 2022 to Switch, and only came out on Switch. And for those of you who don't know, Shin Megami Tensei is the original Persona. Persona is actually a spin-off of Shin Megami Tensei. It's very similar in gameplay to Persona, except it's not like it doesn't have like the life sim aspects. Like you're not going to school, you're not running around like school having relationships with people and doing the day-to-day, keeping a journal. This is much more gameplay focused. um Soul Hackers, which is another great series, is also a spin-off of this, where Soul Hackers is kind of it kind of goes like that. Shin Megami Tensei is like the gameplay. The story's still good, but you don't have the social aspect of it. Soul Hackers kind of has some social aspects, but it has the same gameplay, and then Persona has just like everything. So I'm really excited for this because Shin Megami Tensei 5 was really good, and it was really difficult. Like some of the it's classic turn based, but some of the battles were like ridiculously hard. Some of the enemies are insane. You really have to strategize what you're doing when it comes down to abilities and monsters you're using. And this Vengeance is going to add some extra content, and it's coming everywhere. So I'm like really excited for it to sell better because it's kind of like I said, it's one of those like it's kind of niche JRPG. People know the spinoff is more popular than Persona. So I didn't really. It sold like I think 1 million or 2 million copies on Switch, which is it's nothing to like cry about. But I would love for it to do even better. So I'm like really excited for this too.
Yeah. Hodge, is this doing anything for you?
So is it a sequel, or is this like a game of
It's
the
like a
year
Persona.
edition type?
It's like a Persona 5 Royal Edition, kind of like that. It's the same game, but they're adding content.
Okay, because when I watched the trailer, I was lost. I mean, it looks cool, but I was lost because it was kind of one of those trailers where it doesn't introduce you to the characters. You're kind of already expected to know them.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I kind of got thrown into a thing that I don't know. So
Yeah.
it's cool as it looks. I don't know what's going on. So I was just like, I probably won't play it, but it looks cool. But yeah, it expected you to know what it was looking at the trailer. So I was just kind of like, what? So yeah, it looks
the trailer
cool, but
yeah the trailer was basically like the additional content they're gonna add. But it is the base game with some addition. Like I said, it's like Persona 5 Royal, Persona 4 Golden, something like akin to that. Atlas does this a lot. Yeah, Atlas does this a lot with their games. So
yeah, okay, cool.
All right. For me, I am interested in this game. As I said, we got Sean as the weeb here, and I am weeb adjacent, so I'm like in the middle. This is something I'm interested in. I never played Shin Megami Tensei 5. It's hard to say this name. SMT 5 I have not played because it was on the Switch, was really the main reason I skipped it. I don't have the Switch, as I mentioned. I'm glad that it is coming to modern consoles. It is going to be on Xbox. It's going to be on PlayStation. So for everybody who hasn't played it yet, you can pick it up and play it in 4K glory. It's going to be fantastic. I am looking forward to this. I will absolutely be buying it. Shout out Atlas. I love Atlas, one of my favorite publishers.
Such a good
studio. They're always bringing bangers, and you love it. And as an Xbox fan, they're always showing love to Xbox. This might even be in Game Pass. I don't know. But if it's not, I don't care because I'm going to buy it. So I'm looking forward to this. Yeah.
Did you play Soul Hackers 2?
I did not play Soul Hackers 2, but I wanted to.
That's leaving Game Pass in like 3 days. Even if you could just even if you just wanted to try out because the gameplay is very, very similar. And I love Soul Hackers 2, but I'm just saying that the gameplay is very similar. So.
Yeah, I've heard that SMT 5 is difficult, so I'll probably play it on easy because it's a long, grindy, difficult game from what I understand, and I just want to get in there and I want to negotiate with some demons. They got some sexy demons out there you can negotiate and recruit to your team. It's like Pokemon, but you're collecting demons and then you fight with them, right? So, oh yeah, they got some good looking demons, man. They got some fan service out there, but.
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. As I understand it, it's kind of like almost like a Pokemon where you're recruiting and collecting the demons, and then they join your team, and then you fight with the demons versus other people as you're clearing through the story and taking, saving the
Yeah,
world or what have you.
it's basically adult Pokemon.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
how
that's
it
So
sounds.
No, I'm kidding.
that's Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance coming in June, I believe, to all platforms. I'm looking forward to that one. Fantastic pick for sure. Sean, you had another game that you were excited about.
Yeah, this one I just want to briefly mention. It's called Penny's Big Breakaway. This was another platformer that I thought immediately when I saw it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be spending more money on this game. It was out immediately, which was really cool. It's by the guys who made Sonic Mania. Have not played Sonic Mania. I'm sorry, have not played Sonic Mania. Not a Sonic guy, but it looks really cool. It's not like it looks like a classic, one of those classic 3D/2D platformers. I haven't really seen anything about it, but I know some people who are playing it and they are loving it. So I am definitely going to check this out at some point down the road.
All right. Hodge, did you have any thoughts about Penny's Big Breakaway?
See, I watched it, and I don't know if that team's any good. I've never played Sonic Mania either. I haven't played Sonic since Sega Genesis. Well, actually, no, I lied. I played Sonic Adventure 2 on GameCube, but I don't know. Like, again, I love platformers, but this one just didn't do it for me. I don't know why. I just was watching, and I'm like, this just looks kind of weird. It gave me like that Balin game or
Dude, don't. No, Balan Wonderworld was a good game. I'm telling you.
is it? I don't know. It gave me that
no.
or Ukulele. It gave me kind of those vibes where it seemed kind of like a B tier platformer, not like one of the goats. So I'm sure if it's fun, it's fun. I hope people like it. But just watching it for me, it didn't do anything for me for some reason. I don't know. But Epic Mickey though, I'm into that one.
I'll keep it short and sweet. Penny's Big Breakaway. Didn't even remember this from the showcase when I watched it. It wasn't doing much for me. I did go back and watch the trailer afterwards because I wanted to be educated. It looks cool. It looks kind of like a platformer type thing. I'm not a massive platformer guy. Probably won't play this, but it does look cool. It doesn't look terrible at all. It looks like something that could be fun for that type of audience. All right, moving on to the next game. This is one that I added to the list here. I'm excited about this personally. And again, like I said, I'm weeb adjacent, all right? Not a weeb, but I almost am, let's be real. Unicorn Overlord. You got to love those Japanese names, don't you? They just take two words and then they just put them together. And they're just like, this is the title.
Like Project
Unicorn.
Triangle or something like that also.
Project Triangle Strategy. Yeah.
So yeah, Unicorn Overlord, a game from Vanillaware. I have not really played any Vanillaware games that I'm aware of, but this game just looks so cool. The combat style, it kind of has like a Fire Emblem looking vibe to the combat. You're controlling like these medieval looking forces. There's like this cool looking story. There's this overarching map that you're kind of taking over the map and doing these little battles and recruiting people. Overall, it just looks super cool, like a small AA, almost indie type experience. And I'm definitely going to check that out and play it. Did either of you guys see Unicorn Overlord? Was this interesting? Any of you?
I'm not. Doesn't really interest me that much. I know, shocking, right? That's a game that I'm not into. That's actually kind of shocking. But I'm not like I like tactical RPGs. I'm not the biggest fan of them. So
Love them.
like I kind of has to be like an IP like I'm really invested in. I loved Midnight Suns. Like that was kind of tactics RPG. That was kind of a tactical RPG. But like I just really didn't do much for me.
Okay. Hodge? This doesn't seem like a game that's really right up your alley, but did you check it out? What did you think about this?
I did, and I'll be honest, it's not at all what I expected from the name. I was thinking of that Robot Unicorn Attack game from back in the day. I don't know if you guys ever played that Flash game. That's literally what the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this title. But I watched the trailer, and it looked interesting, but I'm definitely not a strategy game person. I would flip the board 10 minutes into Risk. I'm not that kind of, I don't know. I've never been into strategy games like RTSs. I've never been into. I know that's not what this is, but it looks like the artwork of it looks really cool, but the gameplay itself, I know it's not going to hook me. So If you like it, awesome. But yeah, that it's not a gameplay that looks like it would attract me much.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. The next game, though, I know is something that is attractive to you because you put this on the show notes, Hodge. So take it away. What's the next game?
So this is one I'm not super excited for, but I'm intrigued by it. It's a South Park Snow Day. It's been announced before. It was just shown at the direct just to say that it's on the console. But the thing that intrigues me the most about it is that it's co-op. So I could play it online with friends. But like I love well, my favorite South Park game is actually Chef's Love Shack from N64 and PS1 way back in the day. It was basically Mario Party, but South Park. I adore that game. It still holds up. It's hilarious. But the Stick of Truth and Fractured But Whole, those games were so much fun. But the reason why this one doesn't attract me as much, even though I do want to play it, is it's because it's a 3D now. The game's in 3D, where I loved that Stick of Truth and Fractured But Whole looked like the show. Like it was the 2D. Yeah. It looked straight up animated like the show, and I loved that like how it looked. And so this one, the 3Dness kind of throws me off a little, but South Park, those are two of the funniest games I've ever played. So this one I'm sure is going to be just as funny, and I'll probably be dying laughing playing it the whole time because I saw it in the trailer, unless I just thought this in my brain and it connected it. When you're like kind of gliding, you can push yourself up by farting. I'm like, that's just such a South Park humor fucking moment. So it made me laugh, and I was like, this is a game I want to check out. It probably won't be like a day one purchase for me, but eventually I will want to try it out just because I do love South Park. I've watched the show since it premiered, which I was 8 years old when it premiered, not when you're supposed to be watching it, which formed basically my just absolutely retarded humor. So I love South Park, and I'll check it out eventually. It's just probably not a day one game for me.
Yeah, Sean, any thoughts on South Park?
Never watched South Park in my life.
Oh,
I'm not surprised.
So I'm not.
The Pokemon episode.
Never watched South Park. It was never a thing that I was interested in. I was more of a Family Guy and Simpsons guy myself.
I love the Simpsons growing up too.
Yeah, so this really did nothing for me. I didn't play any of the South Park games. The only memory I have of a South Park video game was going over to my cousin's house, and he had this South Park like first-person shooter game on N64.
It was terrible. I loved it.
And that's like, I remember like I walked in there and he was like playing it once, and he was like, "You're too young to be watching this," and he shut it off. I was like, okay. And then I went outside and went swimming.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I think I was like probably like 4 years old. It was like 2000, 2001, something like that.
Yeah, so South Park Snow Day, good pick, interesting. It is 3D, like you said, Hodge. I think it looks really good though. It still looks like the characters. I really like the art style, even though it's not like the show animated style. Yeah. Anytime you hear Cartman, like he's just pure gold. Like anytime you hear Cartman, like Snow Day, everybody, that's probably the worst Cartman impression in the history of the internet. But it's funny, dude. It's funny. Shout out to those older games too that you mentioned, The Stick of Truth by the GOATs, Obsidian. I always forget about that game. When I'm always talking about the Obsidian games, I always forget about South Park.
I actually like Stick of Truth better than Fractured But Whole. I love Stick of Truth. And that's it. Again, I'm not a huge turn-based guy, but Stick of Truth is so fun and it's hilarious.
It's really good. Sean, you should probably play South Park, The Stick of Truth. I'm going to recommend that to you, even though you haven't watched the show. It's an Obsidian game. It's got really great gameplay, and it's just freaking hilarious. And The Stick of Truth is kind of more grounded than the other ones because they're not superheroes. They're just like kids playing fantasy in their backyard, acting like they're a wizard or they're a ranger or something. And I think you might like it, even though you're not. You know, you're the guy that's known for being like just the really friendly and polite and like always
South Park is
the good guy, the angel. It's kind of the opposite. It's kind of the demon on your shoulder. But I still think you might like that one. But going back to Snow Day, go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe. I mean, I've definitely seen the gameplay of it, and it definitely like is right up my alley. So maybe I'll check it out one day. You never know. But are you telling me this is not a game where I have to watch a whole show just before I play the campaign? It's not like
you don't at all. No, not at all. You don't have to know. They're going to tell you their own story in the game, self-contained, and you'll laugh. And it's Obsidian. It's Obsidian, baby.
That is true. Yeah.
They don't miss. You know this, Sean. All right, so South Park Snow Day, I think we've said what we needed to say on that one. And that basically wraps up the games that we wanted to talk about for the Nintendo Direct. Did anyone have any final thoughts for the Nintendo Direct before we jump into the backlog?
No, I would just say I know if some people were listening, expect us to kind of go through the whole list of games. There's some games on there that I don't know might look okay, but we didn't need to go over the entire show. We just kind of want to talk the highlights of the ones we wanted to do rather than the full thing. So sorry if people were expecting us to talk about I don't know Grounded or whatever, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, we're just doing kind of high level the games that really jumped out at us, not going over the full list. They showed a lot of games. It was like 25, 30 games.
Yeah,
So we
that
can't
taken
go
a
over
while.
all that. But shout out to Nintendo. It was a good direct. They had a lot to show. But those were the big ones that we're excited about. So let's go ahead and jump into the next section here. This will be the final segment, other than our final thoughts. And this is something that I'd like to call Into the Backlog. In this segment, we're going to talk about games that we do.
That's the theme
Oh, Mario.
I don't know.
There you go. I love it. Into the backlog. These are games that we would like to get to in the next year or so. Just games from our backlog that we want to talk about that we're interested in. And why don't we go ahead and kick it off with Sean? I see you have a choice that I've personally played. It's a great game. What game do you plan to get to from the backlog at some point here?
Yakuza Like a Dragon. It's right up my alley. It's turn-based combat, Yakuza, Japanese role-playing game. I've only played Yakuza 0, so I know that you can play this game without like kind of playing the other Yakuza games, but it's one of those games that I definitely want to get to because the gameplay, like I said, it intrigues me. I heard the story's insane. It's phenomenal. I heard just like the writing is like awesome. I heard yeah, so it's one of those games I plan on getting to. I definitely want to do it because I do want to play Infinite Wealth after. So it's probably going to be one of those games when I'm off in the summer. Shout out to teachers. We get summers off. Yeah. Woo.
Lucky. That's when I'm
Don't
going to
get
be
paid
my
though.
busiest.
But yeah. But I'll probably play it in the summer.
Nice.
Yeah. Did you play that, Hodge? Like a Dragon?
No, because this is one of those. I remember it might have been a year, 2, 3 ago. I don't know when Game Pass announced that they're having all the Yakuza games on it, and I remember just instantly being like, I'm never going to play any of them because, again, I'm one of those people who needs, especially when they share characters. I know, like Final Fantasy, each game's its own thing. You don't have to play. You don't have to play 1 through 6 to get to 7. But Yakuza, I know it shares characters, so I know I would be the person that's like, I have to play all the Yakuza games before I get to Infinite Wealth because I can't just hop into one. So I know I probably wouldn't play Like a Dragon because I'd have to play all the games before because I'm just stupid like that and have to do it. So they seem to be kind of goofy games that probably I would enjoy, but yeah, I don't want to have to. It just seems so overwhelming to get to them right now.
All right. Yeah. Man, I wanted to run because I have the Steelbook back there. I wanted to run and grab it, but there's just not really enough time. But yeah, look, Yakuza Like a Dragon is a great game. Sean, I think you'll like it. I beat it. You can play that without playing the other ones because it's kind of like a new start for the series. It's a new main character. The whole cast is completely different. There are a couple like cameos from older characters, but you can absolutely jump right into Yakuza 7, which is Like a Dragon, if you want to. That's a good game. Good pick. Anything else that we want to say about that before we move on?
Nope.
Okay. So the next backlog selection is going to be from me. XCOM 2, War of the Chosen. This is a game that I want to get to sometime this year, probably. Whenever I can get to it. There's so many games, man. We're eating good out here. But XCOM 2, War of the Chosen, I have not played, heard really good things. I am a fan of those strategy type games. I like the XCOM type games. This is an expansion. It's kind of like the Persona 5 Royal type deal, where you have the expansion that adds a whole bunch of content, but it's integrated into the main game. So it's all in one package. Play through the XCOM 2 story, plus all of the War of the Chosen add-ons. That's something I plan to get to. It looks really fun. It looks really good. I am a fan of Firaxis Games and all the stuff that they do. So look forward to that. Some future Games Over Plastic episode number 17 or something, I'm going to be on here talking about what I'm playing, and it's going to be XCOM 2 War of the Chosen, hopefully. Sean, is that doing anything for you? You're not a big tactics guy?
No, never played XCOM.
Yeah, I know that isn't XCOM kind of the game that isn't that what the gameplay of Fractured But Whole was kind of like, that kind of move them around to get to the enemy type gameplay where you're kind of on a
It's the
board.
same thing with Midnight Suns. It's like Midnight Suns.
Okay, and that
Yeah.
Mario Rabbids
Yeah.
game, kind of that kind of gameplay. Yeah, that those kind
Yeah,
of
what Wasteland 3? Have you played that?
no, that's another kind of gameplay that's I've never like. That's why I liked Stick of Truth more than Fractured But Whole, because I've never been really into that gameplay style. Um, I've heard that these XCOM games are really great, but it's great for that genre, which is a genre that I'm not really into. So I'm sure that's cool you like it, but I probably won't ever play it.
Right on. All right. So neither of you are really too interested in that. That's okay. Listeners, if you are out there, well, somebody's hearing this. If any of these games are interesting, that you've played them, like we're talking about XCOM and Like a Dragon, leave a comment. Let us know, what you thought of them, if they were good, if we would like them, if we should play them, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Hodge, you had a game from the backlog that you plan to get to soon?
Yeah, this is a game I've played each one at least 4 or 5 times probably at this point. If the first one way more than the rest, but I want to replay the Bioshock trilogy because again, even though Judas is not a Bioshock, maybe not a Bioshock game, I want to just replay these games before Judas comes out because I love them. I used to play some games like almost annually, and I know I played Bioshock, the first one, multiple times within a few year span. So I want to replay these again. I haven't played them since I think the that collection came out, however many years ago that was, like
2017.
2017. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I haven't played them since then. So I want to replay them again before Judas, just because the Bioshock games, the first one is one of, if not my favorite games of all time. So I want to replay the trilogy. It's just a good excuse to do it more than anything, that with Judas coming out. So I just really want to hop back into these games. I know that BioShock 2 is not a Ken Levine game or whatever, but the gameplay is so much fun. It's still amazing to go back to Rapture. Then go to Columbia in the third one. I just love those games, and I would just want to replay them again. Like, yeah, Rapture is second to none in terms of game settings. Like, it's the best. But yeah, so I just want to replay them. It's not a new backlog game. It's just what's in my backlog, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, I like I said last episode, I love Bioshock. I've only played the first two, and I think they're phenomenal games. I think the overall environment is just so eerie, and there's just so much to see and there's so much lore behind it. So yeah, I can't recommend those games enough.
Yeah, the third one, I would definitely recommend playing because it's awesome. But the DLC for the third game, it brings it all together, and it's my favorite DLC probably of all time. Because my favorite expansion of all time is Undead Nightmare from Red Dead, but in terms of DLC, the Burial at Sea is by far my favorite DLC of all time. But yeah.
Right on, right on. Yeah. Great picks. Bioshock, you can't go wrong. One of the best games ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Top 20, I'm sure. I've played all three of them. I loved them. I did not play Burial at Sea, though. So maybe one of these days I'll have to go and do that. But I did love all of them. Infinite was great, too. Up in Columbia, I think it was called the Cloud City.
Yeah.
The only thing it was missing was Lando in Cloud City. But,
Yeah.
Star Wars reference. I did, while you were talking about Bioshock, I did skip away for 1 second to pick this up here. I got it.
Ooh.
The Like a Dragon Daiichi edition, which is day one, Japanese. We got the steel book. This thing's beautiful. I had to get it because it's a steel book.
Yeah. Audio listeners, you should watch this on YouTube so you can see the beauty.
Check out the YouTube, and we got the video. It's professional out here.
Yeah. But yeah, I love Bioshock. Yeah.
Let's do it. You can't go wrong. I think Judas is going to be good too. We're looking forward to that.
Wait. But I'll talk about Bioshock when we get to our episode of our top 5 favorite games of all time, when that comes out in the future. So look forward to that.
Coming out soon, and look forward to that because we're going to have a special guest on that episode. We're not going to say who it is, but many of the people who listen to this podcast that we know are familiar with this gentleman, and he is a Chad. I love this guy. All right, so that does it for Into the Backlog segment. Those are games that we are really excited about playing, that we hope to get to sometime in this year. So look forward to hopefully hearing us saying that we are playing it later on and what we thought about it. Like I said, leave a like. If you're listening to this, leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about the episode, what you're excited about, any games that we talked about. If you love it, if you have feedback, let us know. If you have any questions, like I mentioned at the start, put them in the comments on YouTube. We may use your questions in a future episode. So let's go ahead and move on to final thoughts. This has been a great episode, I think. We've been going for an hour and 45 minutes. We got to everything that we wanted to cover. Before, well, I guess that's what final thoughts is for. Let's go ahead and jump right to you, Hodge. Any final thoughts, things you want to get to for this episode?
No, another great episode. I enjoy talking with you guys, and I'm looking forward to many, 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 many more.
Many more, absolutely. Hodge, final thought, or I'm sorry, Hodge, you just went. Sean Mason, final thoughts.
No, I'll go again. It's okay.
Great episode. Great episode. Really happy to be here. We talked a lot of fun games, a lot of good memories. Shout out to Epic Mickey. Shout out to Star Wars. Shout out to everything, really. You know, I just love gaming. This is awesome.
We'll do many nostalgia-based episodes, I'm sure, where we just talk about the games that we played growing up. I'm fully sure of that.
Yeah. Somebody wrote in on the comments for last episode, and I should have pulled it up and should have had their name. I'm sorry, but you know who you are. And they said that we should do our top favorite games of all time. And so shout out to you who left that comment. That is coming. Look forward to that. We actually planned for our next episode, if all goes well, will be our top 5, top 6 favorite games of all time with a special guest, which I'm really excited about. So look forward to that.
It's Bill Clinton.
But this has been a great episode. You told him, dude.
Sorry, I just can't keep it in anymore.
All right, with Bill Clinton. So look forward to that, guys. But yeah, this has been episode number 2 of Games Over Plastic. Shout out to Xbox for not being dead yet. Shout out to Nintendo for a great direct. And shout out to you. If you've listened this far, if you've listened to this whole episode, thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
We love you.
That's it. Good. We love you. Please clap. Episode 2 is done. All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Sean, say goodbye.
Bye.
All right. See you guys.